Welcome back to GameCast, and an idea that I've ripped off wholesale from Tom Scott, and I haven't changed the format in the slightest. It's called Two of These People Are Lying. And joining me are Sully over there-ish, Kelsey, and Hillary. Right, so you'll see on the screen I have got a game of Tabletop Simulator loaded up, and on that table there is a bag. Inside the bag there are 3 randomly selected Wikipedia articles, one from each of the 3 lovely people here. I will pull one of them out and I have to guess who of these people's article it is. One of them will be telling me the truth about it, the other 2 will be making it up off the top of their heads and lying randomly. So, the first article we have here, Harvey Prober, I'm going to say. So, Sully, who or what is Harvey Prober?
Well, he was related to Harvey Weinstein, but he's since changed his name for obvious reasons. He doesn't want to be associated with a sexual predator. And he actually is just a normal bloke. He owns a woodworking shop. And he assembles like flat pack kitchen stuff.
Right. That's an unlikely person to have a Wikipedia article about them, but sure. I'm sure I will ask you more questions in a bit. Right. Kelsey, struggling to maintain a straight face there, I see. Who or what is Harvey Prober?
You know, now I'm telling the truth because I can't stop smiling.
Okay.
Harvey Prober was actually the name that they first AI simulators that they used to have conversations with to kind of create that bot language that we kind of know a little bit about. I don't understand it very well, but I know when they create AI personalities, they had a bunch of test AIs that they used on Twitter and stuff to communicate with each other to see what would happen. And they had a female one, and she was so aggressive that they had to shut her down. And Harvey Prober was the name of the male AI that they created to communicate with her, because he was it was a program that was meant to be really tempered and really non-aggressive. So that was nice of him. He was a nice bloke.
He was a nice man.
And I think they called him Harvey Prober, the developers, because well, it was kind of funny. They called him Harvey Prober because he was people kept on thinking that these AIs were probing into their private information and data, but it was just an experiment to see what would happen. Turns out they are going to take over the world.
Okay. Right.
Pretty sad.
So an AI to make the robot language that people speak. Hillary, what or who is Harvey Prober?
I think it's actually Harvey Prober.
Prober?
And he was a chair designer.
A chair designer?
Yeah.
See? Okay.
Right. Okay. Tell me more about the chair designer, Hillary.
So, he was born in 1920, died in 2003, and he's known for making the modular chairs.
The modular chairs?
Yeah, the ones that go together as a set.
Flat pack?
No, not flat pack. They're you can put loads of them together to make a big piece of chair furniture.
You can put loads of them together to make a big piece of chair.
Kitchen flat packs.
He was, where did he come from? Maybe America. I can't really
France.
tell you much else about him, to be honest.
Great. Okay. Stunning. Okay. Sully, tell me more about this woodworker and why he deserves a Wikipedia article.
I think Hillary's on the right track. The important stuff of this woodworker. Yes, he did make that chairs at one point early on in his career, but he's expanded out into more what was it called? Decor. He's a design an interior designer, but he mostly focuses on kitchens and stuff.
Okay.
And he's French.
He's French. Right.
Harvey
And he was
Harvey,
born a little bit later.
French name of Harvey. I mean, okay. I'm gonna entertain it. What has he done? What's notable about him? Notable enough that he deserves a Wikipedia article? Has he like designed anything famous? Has he designed something for somebody?
Have you heard of French polish?
I'm aware of
French polishing is his. It's what he made. It's what he invented. It's very durable
Why
surface.
didn't you lead with that? So much more believable as someone who owns a Wikipedia article than a furniture designer.
What, and a bloke that works with wood who used to be called Harvey Weinstein, which is
Correct.
also an incredibly French
He
thing.
wasn't not actually related. Just decided.
Really?
To change.
I'm
Look, I glossed over these articles, so.
Okay. Kelsey, any more information about the AI, the little AI man?
Little AI
He
man
grants 3 wishes.
doesn't grant. Let me think. I think they started development on this in like the early 2000s, but there were so many issues with people like being afraid that these bots, which is essentially what they are, they just named them, were gonna like take over the internet. And then when they brought out the female version, and she was such a bitch, like she would like go through all this data on Twitter, which is a cesspit to be honest.
Sounds legit.
She would formulate her own tweets based on all the data that she'd taken from Twitter users, and then the tweets were so heinous because of Twitter that she was just like this aggressive asshole that they had to go back and basically go, look, this obviously isn't working, and it just made everyone, convinced that, yep, look at this bitch, this bot, now we can tell that, they're actually going to take over the world. So they created a male bot. I guess they don't have genders. We don't want to genderize this bot, Harvey Prober, but they created him as
Obviously.
he is a prober. They clearly male. He is a prober, that's true. But I think the whole idea was that the personality was meant to be so opposite and so that it would bring people back, the general public, back to this whole cool idea of AI is going to be this intuitive, awesome invention, not this evil entity that's going to take your data. But
Okay.
I think they still work.
That's the Terminator 5 plot.
Yes, I did just it now.
Twitter AI turns into Skynet. Oh god.
It's gonna
See,
happen.
when you started, you said it was how they designed the robot voice. And I was thinking it was that male robot voice you get in Reddit videos where the robot male voice.
No, I don't know how they didn't actually mention the voices, which I assume they've taken from actual male voices, and then they've just used computers to kind of create. Synthesize. This was the actual personality. So they gave these bots personalities names because it was an experiment to see how the AIs would interact with the online world and therefore each other. And I'm not 100% sure why or what the actual application of this is going to be. It's probably just to see what would happen and how we can use it in the future. But it was just this bot that they just used to kind of convey as a person. It ended up being a little bit because they were so creepy. They ended up developing a language that was consistent, but no one could understand it because it was they were
It was
bots.
their own language.
It was their own language. The developers, a lot of them who were interviewed talked about it were actually genuinely unhinged or kind of creeped out by the fact that these programs were talking to each other.
Oh.
But I think Harvey Prober was meant to be this nice version. And I can't remember what the female was. The female name they called theirs probably something like Cassandra.
Karen.
Karen.
I want to speak to your manager.
Nah, she just took the C-bomb all the time and was really racist, so they had to create Harvey to...
Sounds like a Karen. Right. Okay. Sully, I don't believe you. I don't believe that a furniture designer would have a Wikipedia article, and I don't believe that B, if it was the person who invented French polishing, that you would lead with the fact that they were a furniture designer rather than the inventor of French polishing. Hillary, I believe you a bit more, but I still feel it's the modular chairs.
No, it is.
What the fuck are you on about?
Modular chairs.
I've never heard of modular chairs.
No, because you've never heard of Harvey Prober either. They come hand in hand. He's the modular chair bloke.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Honestly, I think Kelsey is the most believable here. Like, there's information. I believe that there would be the kind of bots. And I like the detail that there was a female one that was unhinged and swearing at everyone. That I feel is believable. Kelsey, I believe you. Am I right?
Saddest part is that it was based on real Twitter users. Just saying, everyone's awful.
Was I
No,
right?
I lied.
You lied.
Fuck! It's Sally.
Was it you then, Hillary?
Yeah.
Fuck! Well, that is a point to Kelsey because she convinced me that she was correct. That's not a point to Hillary, unfortunately. So it was actually a furniture designer.
Yeah.
Modular chairs.
Modular chairs.
Do you want to show me the modular
Yeah, I
chairs?
will. I can't show you the modular chairs because
Oh.
it was before the internet was a thing. Weird. Okay, he was an American furniture designer who's credited with inventing sectional modular seating in the 1940s.
God,
How did you do that?
watch out for your search history there. Oh my god.
No idea.
We're opening a URL.
Yeah, right. So what you do is you go shopping for a sofa, you decide how many seats you want, and you can just buy extra seats and stick them all together.
Oh! If you just said sofas,
No,
that's
what?
much more believable.
He was a chair inventor, not a sofa inventor.
So, Hillary, you need to find a new Wikipedia article for me. Yes. So we'll just wait a couple of minutes while Hillary's doing that. And I'm going to keep this bit in because I'm going to apologise for the sound before. It's going to be better now because I've been turned down. Hillary has got herself a new article. It is in the bag there. And the next one that we are doing is Tank Man. Right. Okay. Let's start with Sully again. What is Tank Man?
Well, we've all seen the famous video
Oh. Hello. I think you've cut
stopping the line of tanks in, I'm going to butcher the name of the square that it is, but I think it's called
Tiananmen
Square. Yes, that's the square. Fun fact, there's not many facts about the man. He hasn't got an actual name. He's known as the Unnamed Man or Rebel Man.
Uh-huh.
And there's actually no information about the tank crews either, which is surprising because it's China and they're very secretive. That's pretty much it. He's the bloke
guy
who
that
laid
stepped out in front of the tanks in Tiananmen Square.
Yes.
Well, if this is a
Yes,
lie,
that's
it's a
it.
very morbid lie that you've picked.
That's pretty much that's it in a nutshell. So
Great.
very little
Okay.
information on the man. Just the name of the article is what drew me to it on Reddit, not Reddit, Wikipedia. Tank Man. I instantly went, oh, like Iron Man or something. So I'm like, I have to read that, and it just ended up being that. So
Great. Okay. Kelsey, what is Tank Man, or who is Tank Man?
Tank Man was this pixel character from like the early 1990s that was created by this really small like developer group. I don't even know what their name was. I don't think they ever. And it was like meant to be like the first protagonist for like a first-person shooter. He was meant to be like this new revolutionary thing, and like one of the producers like betrayed them in some way, and it ended up being like beaten to being released by Doom, and everyone only remembers Doom. And so it's like this character that has like no real standing except that he was created by like this super unhappy guy who basically believes that he was the first person to create first-person shooter pixel character.
you've got a risky angle considering Count's a big gamer.
Yeah, I know. I just thought it was
Oh, it's
interesting.
alright. Last time we played this, what do you remember what
Metal.
the article was called?
No, I'm not sure.
No, but Hillary came up with the idea of presenting to 3 people who are quite heavily into games an MMO fighting game that was basically like Fight Club, the game.
But on the internet.
Don't know how she came up with
I don't
that.
know, that's
Funnily
a-
enough,
that's
it
a good
wasn't
risk.
picked.
Good, I think it's a good risk because if you don't know it, then you're gonna feel stupid. I don't actually think this game got like. It wasn't. I don't even think this game was like released. Like it didn't have any information about the game actually coming to fruition. I think the guy who created it was like maybe a year ahead of the team Doom in like the 90s or 80s. I don't know this really well, but he was so upset because it beat his game. And it was like I think he's like really upset about
What's
it.
his name? John. Okay, just checking.
Just fact checking me. I don't even think it's like one of those facts that like only really sad people know because this guy was so upset and his character was just called
Aw.
Tank Man. Like he just cops all this flack because in comparison to Doom, like his character in this game looks so shit. But he I don't even know if like it's true that Doom actually copied them. Probably not. But he was known for being convinced that since Doom came out like 6 months before his
yeah,
game.
it's one of those,
Yeah, like I probably hyped it up, but it's not like a prolific game. It sounded like it was just he had an idea and someone else somewhere else probably had the same idea and did it better and sort of quicker. So now he's like, they stole Tank Man from me. And like the only art
Stop Tank Man from me. The Doom guy.
yeah, so like I'm not saying that this guy looted. I don't even think he has a Wikipedia page. Just his pathetic story does.
Look, if they'd done Master Chief,
Wow.
I'd be like, stolen Tank Man
Pathetic
from
story. Oof. Oh,
Like there's not even any like game art. Like you can't even find game art about this character. It's just like pixel art that looks like it's been rendered to look like game art, but you can kind of tell that it's just pixel art. So like that's kind of sad.
wow.
Just I don't know. It's sad enough to
I
be
mean,
true.
if this isn't true, it's a very sad story you've weaved here. I'd almost feel bad for it. Hillary, what is Tank Man?
Okay, so you know the comic Tank Girl?
I'm aware of Tank Girl,
Yeah,
yes.
it's a spin-off from that. It was a short series of comics
Uh-huh.
about a guy called Tank Man.
Right. See, I feel like you've just come up with this off the top of your head because we just watched a Gorillaz video.
I didn't watch it. I was playing Sudoku,
It
mate.
was on the screen, though.
Yeah, but I wasn't paying attention to
Okay.
it, was I? I was playing Sudoku.
Right. For those of you who don't know, Gorillaz was drawn by the same person who did Tank Girl.
Oh, really?
This is now more convincing.
Didn't know that.
Okay. Jamie Hewlett is the artist for Gorillaz and also drew Tank Girl. There
Yeah.
you go.
It wasn't
Never even
done by
had
him.
Okay.
It was done by someone else.
Right.
Imagine my mistake.
Okay. How long did it run for?
Oh, literally like 6 months. It wasn't very successful,
Okay.
which is why there's not a lot of information on it, really.
So is it like a mini-series, basically?
Yeah.
Right.
It was a trial to see whether they could do some sort of spin-off from it, and they couldn't.
Okay.
So they just gave up.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Any more information?
No, that's about it, really.
Good. Sully, I've forgotten what you said. What was it again?
He's the famous man he laid down in front of.
Oh, yes, Tiananmen
Tank.
Square.
Yes, yes.
Is there any other information you can tell me?
Probably, man. I read the first paragraph.
Good. I'm reassured by
That's it.
this.
Hey, at least you know my story is a real story.
I mean, I know that yours is a thing that happened, but I
is
don't
very
know
true.
whether or not he was called Tank Man.
Yeah, but Tank Girl.
Well,
was
he's
comics.
he's not officially known as Tank. Just I'd imagine whoever wrote the Wikipedia page would have read some article that would have just on a whim called him Tank Man. You know, from whenever back in the day it happened. Yeah, he's more commonly known as the Unknown, and that's it. But Tank Man's the one that stuck.
Right. Okay. And then Kelsey's Oh. Hmm. So what did you know the name of the person who designed the game? Do you remember his name?
I know I can't pronounce it. I know it's like the last name is like Italian and it starts with a G, and I don't touch those names. And I think you pronounce it.
Guacamole.
Yeah, you know. I think is the Italian like pronunciation like Andre for like the ANDRE?
Yeah, I think
the
so.
thing on the E.
Yeah.
Andre.
Andre?
He looks like very unhappy. Like, you know, those middle-aged, and like the picture of them is like their hair's thinning in like a way that looks like they've just been pulling it out. That was kind of his vibe. So I could tell that he wasn't very.
How old was he?
Just ragging on this guy so hard.
I know, but like, come on, like it's pretty funny.
Wow.
It's said that he was in his late 30s when he developed it, which was 1992, because Doom
So
came out in
it is-
1993.
So
So he would be, I
60
think,
now.
yeah, because it didn't actually give us like the article didn't actually give me like kind of like an idea of what he was up to now, like specifically. It just said that like
Crying in a
basically
corner,
his claim to
apparently.
fame. Yeah, apparently his claim to fame, and they linked his Twitter account. So I'm assuming he's quite vocal in that area, which is probably makes sense.
Right.
He just kind of spent the rest of his scene working on a few projects. He wasn't really like credited, like, you know, like in credits they have like uncredited people working on projects. Pretty sure that was his lot in life. But he's
great.
pretty sure that he invented like that style or that character dynamic.
And what was that style?
Well, that was the first person shooter, but he was more interested in the fact that he created his protagonist, Tank Man, who was like this grungy like dude who went into like this, not hell. His wasn't hell, which is what Doom's was. His was like this weird, dungeony, creepy like kind of setting that wasn't entirely like exact, but like he kind of thought it was close enough that they were like ripping him off, like dystopian. I don't personally think that he had much like standing.
Well, I'm gonna be honest.
But that's his.
Doom being a rip-off is news to me.
No, it was never actually.
As someone who is a very big Doom fan.
Well, I mean, that's very interesting sound. I forgot that you knew everything and we're all seeing.
Oh dear.
Idiot.
Right. Okay. I don't believe Hillary.
Rude.
I believe if there was a spin-off of Tank Girl, I probably would have known about it. So I don't think it's that.
Okay.
Kelsey, I think you had. There was too much info. Like it was a bit over the top, and I'm like, maybe you're over.
I just hated him too much, didn't I?
You can tell you like writing.
My passion was
yeah, going over the top. I believe that.
I really started to hate this guy.
Yes, this fictional man was starting to hate. I believe that it is Sully. It's the guy from Tiananmen Square. Am I right?
Yes.
Yay! That is a point to Sully, and that is a point to me as well.
And fun fact, I literally almost gave you pretty much all the information.
Oh boy.
More or less.
There's really like nothing on there.
He's literally like an unknown dude that like tank, so.
Oh god. Right. Okay, so that's a point to Sully, that's a point to me. Sully, if you could please go get a new Wikipedia article. That would be
Alrighty. Can't lookies.
Well, I'm not the one guessing who's lying.
Yeah, but you could though.